0.01%. That's the percentage of people in Kazakhstan who are evangelical Christians. If you fill up the Dallas Cowboys Stadium with Kazakhs, there would only be 8 evangelical Christians in attendance. I had the opportunity to visit Kazakhstan for 2 weeks with a team from Germany, where we found a rich culture on the edge of Asia. Kazakhstan is home to over 130 different nationalities and ethnicities. Kazakhs, Russians, Uzbeks, and Uyghurs make up the largest portions of the population. Kazakhstan has only been its own nation for a couple years, since 1991. It was previously a Soviet republic. The country is the 9th largest by landmass in the world. Yet, with just 20 million people living in it, it's the least population density of any country in the world. It's a really interesting melting pot of people. During my 2 weeks spent in Kazakhstan, I got to see this melding of cultures. Most speak Russian, but the native Kazakh dialect is alive and well. It's still spoken by 52% of people in the Central Asian country. Most of the country is steppe, so it's a high, dry grassland. And the mountains in southern Kazakhstan are absolutely breathtaking. The high, snow-covered peaks, they tower over the yellow grasslands. There we saw cowboys herding cows and sheep and horses, and the land has been long inhabited by nomads. They would take their portable shelters, they're called yurts, from place to place. Kazakh translates to free man in Turkic. When the Soviet Union began, the Kazakhs were forced to settle down into their cities. You can see this conflict of cultures coming together between the Russians and the Kazakhs. In some places, you'll find Kazakh things like yurts and horses and falcons as their symbols. In others, there's still squares and monuments to time as a part of the Soviet Union, and most of the signs there are in Russian. I spent most of my time in Almaty, which is Kazakhstan's largest city. In places, Almaty is this stunning modern place. It's right on the edge of the Tian Shan Mountains, with these rich malls and amazing parks and great views. However, the city is also quite polluted, and there's some poor areas. When you drive down the road in Almaty, everyone has these high metal fences that they've built to protect their homes. Kazakhstan is the largest economy in Central Asia and has massive borders with both China and Russia. 2.4 million people in Kazakhstan are below the poverty line. As we went to various cities, we heard more about the disparity in the day-to-day life between the poor and the rich in Kazakhstan. In Taraz, which is Kazakhstan's 6th largest city by population, our team visited a government-run house for the elderly and disabled. These people are living in the bare minimum in very rough conditions, not really receiving any consistent care. 1/3 of marriages in Kazakhstan end in divorce. Also, Kazakhstan has the 3rd highest suicide rate in the world. There's a massive need for God to move in Kazakhstan. As you walk in Almaty or Taraz, you're confronted with these elaborate mosques that decorate the cities. Islam is the leading religion in Kazakhstan, and it has been since the Arabic Muslims brought it to the region over 1,000 years ago. Out of the 3,000 religious ministries documented in Kazakhstan, 75% are mosques. Arman Abukarov, which is a pastor in Kazakhstan, he wrote an article, and he said that Islam appeals to young men for 2 main reasons. First, young men in Central Asia want to have an identity that is not tied to the Soviet Union, and Islam offers that identity. Second, Saudi Arabia and Turkey have funneled significant funds into the construction of new mosques and into education of the young people in our region. Just last year in Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan, the Grand Mosque was opened. It's touted the largest mosque in Asia. The building can fit 30,000 people inside. In all of Kazakhstan, there are only 15,000 evangelical Christians. They can only fill the mosque up halfway. As the country continues to build its national identity after Soviet rule, Islam is growing. But God is moving in Kazakhstan. Not long ago, there were no Bibles translated into Kazakh and precious few people who could even teach in Kazakh. Now the Lord is providing these Bibles through Bible Mission and equipping leaders. There are stories that we're going to get into over the coming weeks of these churches and families standing up for the Lord in this country. When we arrived in Almaty, we prayed for Kazakhstan. The country has this beautiful blue flag with these elaborate golden symbols going down the side. A member of the Bible Mission team in Kazakhstan pointed out a cross in the weaving. We prayed together that this flag would not turn green like so many Islamic countries in the region. I would urge for you to pray for the believers in Kazakhstan. Pray for their ministries and pray that the Lord would move in a powerful way in this country. Psalm 3:3 says, "But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory, and the lifter of my head."